proven and are known for running serious, erudite candidates who offer innovative solutions on the issues of the day. Candidates that not only add to public discourse, but advance it. Tim Penny, Peter Hutchinson, Tom Horner, and for 2022, I'm here to introduce Hugh McTavish. Dr. McTavish holds a PhD in biochemistry from the University of Minnesota. He's published 18 peer-reviewed scientific articles, most recently on immunology. He's also a patent attorney and holds 21 US patents on his inventions. He's also an entrepreneur, the founder and CEO of 2 successful pharmaceutical companies, both of which arose from his own inventions and patents. He's also the author of 3 books, including Ending War in Our Lifetime, and last year, COVID Lockdown Insanity. And he is the founder and executive director of a nonprofit called COVID Sanity, devoted to presenting the facts about both the benefits and the harms of the lockdown response to COVID. And spoiler alert, the balance sheet says there were far more harms to Minnesotans by Tim Walz's edicts than there were benefits. Dr. McTavish challenges the status quo using science and data, asking all of us to think it through. This past Sunday, our state executive party committee voted to recommend endorsement of Dr. McTavish to our upcoming April 30th state convention. And it is now my great pleasure to introduce to you our next Independent Alliance Governor, Dr. Hugh McTavish.
Thank you, Phil, and thank you all for attending. I really do appreciate you all being here. My name is Hugh McTavish, and I am running for governor of Minnesota. I will seek the nomination and endorsement of the Independence Alliance. I am running because I want to really create a government that is, in the words of Abraham Lincoln, of the people, by the people, and for the people. We have lost that. Instead, we have a government that is of the elites and the corporations, by the elites and the corporations, and for the elites and the corporations. I am running also because I think everyone's life matters. We seem to have forgotten that by the lockdowns. By the lockdowns, we decided to destroy education for 2 years for a generation of children and college students. I think their lives matter. We decided to throw 16% of workers out of their jobs. I think their lives matter. We decided to destroy small businesses and in effect take those businesses from their owners without compensation. I think those small business owners' lives matter. We decided to throw 1 in 5 Americans, 63 million Americans, into clinical depression. I think their lives matter. And we decided to kill about 40,000 Americans from deaths of despair in 2020 alone, mostly from deaths of despair, from the lockdowns in 2020 alone, and ultimately the lockdowns will kill about 100,000 Americans, most of them far younger, with far more time of life remaining than the people whose lives we were trying to save by preventing COVID deaths. And I think those people, the lives of those people that we decided to kill, I think those lives matter. I have never sought public office before, and I am seeking it now, not to take power, but to give power back to all of us. All of us. I will do that through an innovation I have developed that I call jury democracy. So who is Hugh McTavish? Like all of us, I have faced adversity in life, but I've been pretty good at turning those lemons into lemonade. I got cancer, and as a result of that, I invented a new cancer drug and started a successful company around that. I had cold sores, I invented a new treatment for cold sores and started another successful company around that. When Tim Walz and Anthony Fauci, whether intentionally or not, threw me and 63 million other Americans into depression because of the lockdowns, I used my expertise as a scientist and an immunologist to fight for those 63 million Americans and the other people whose lives we decided did not matter very much. we adopted the lockdowns. I started a nonprofit, COVID Sanity, and wrote a book, COVID Lockdown Insanity, to document from CDC numbers and other reputable numbers all the harms the lockdowns were inflicting, as well as the benefits, and how vastly, vastly those harms exceeded the benefits, including even in deaths caused by the lockdowns versus those prevented by the lockdowns. I'm an innovator. I have 21 US patents. I'm good, I think, at thinking outside the box and thinking of solutions to problems. I did that when I invented the cancer drug and started IGF Oncology. I did it again when I invented the cold sore treatment and started Squarex around it. And I'm doing it now to address the division and dysfunctionality of our government with my innovation of jury democracy. In today's elections, candidates seek to win by dividing us and appealing to anger and fear. And then after winning, they impose their policies on us, and those policies are chosen by the moneyed interests that funded their campaigns. Not me. I am running not to unite us, not to divide us. And after winning, I will have all of us, the people, choose our policies. I have faith in the people. The solution, again, that I am proposing is jury democracy. So what is jury democracy? Jury democracy is the concept of using large juries of about 1,000 people, randomly drawn from all registered voters in the state, to make all important decisions of government. That number is a statistically valid sample of all voters. We can invite a jury to St. Paul or to a network of sites around the state, have them sit and hear the evidence and arguments from both sides or all sides on a particular bill or proposal. Give them time then to actually read the bill, sit them in a room, give them nothing else to do but to read the bill, which will put them ahead of many legislators and congresspeople on a lot of matters. And I don't say that to slam them. They have a lot of things on their plate, a lot of bills to read. They actually don't have time to read every bill that comes across their desk. But the jurors will. They'll be given the time to actually read the bill. Then break into groups of 12, discuss it with the other 11 members of your subgroup, argue for your point of view, how you were going to vote, how you think they ought to vote, and then take a secret ballot vote and majority prevails of the entire pool of 1,000. As a governor, I will use a jury like that to recommend whether I should sign or veto every important or controversial bill that is passed by the legislature. Every bill. In effect, it will be a third house of the legislature. In order for a bill to become law, it will have to pass muster with the majority of informed citizens in the state. And I will abide by the decision of the jury. I have faith in the people. We can also have the jury recommend policies and bills that the legislature has not or will not consider. We can introduce bills and proposals to the jury. For instance, how should we reform policing in this state so that Minnesota is no longer the world capital for police killing of civilians? I have a proposal for that. I'm sure Black Lives Matter has some ideas about that. I'm sure the Minneapolis Police Federation has some ideas about that. Let's invite everybody to put their proposals on the table and argue them in front of the jury, and let the jury decide what's the best way to approach that issue. I have faith in the people again. I will use juries to make regulatory decisions also. Should we allow copper nickel mining near the Boundary Waters? I would say hell no. In fact, I would say over my dead body, but I have faith in the people. So I would submit that to a jury. I would be willing to submit that to a jury, let the advocates, the environmentalists and the mine company make their arguments for and against that mine, and let the jury decide. And I would be willing to abide by the jury. I have faith in the people. With jury democracy, decisions and policies will be decided based on evidence and reason, not on money and influence. And every policy enacted, by definition, will have the support of a majority of the population after informed consideration. Now, I support ranked choice voting and proportional representation also, but jury democracy goes further. It is perfect proportional representation. Poor and middle class people will actually have power and be the majority. Can you imagine poor people actually having power? The 99% will have 99% of the power. Young people will have power and be represented proportionally to their numbers. Blacks, women, Native Americans, all will have power proportional to their numbers and representation proportional to their numbers, and all of that will be achieved without quotas or affirmative action. It's just achieved automatically by inviting everybody. Jury democracy will also unite us and calm our divisions. If you make arguments for a policy with jury, my suggestion is that you want to present evidence and make calm, reasoned arguments, not scream insults at everybody who disagrees with you. And on a jury, you will sit down with people from all areas of the state, different races, different political outlooks, different backgrounds and life experiences. And my prediction is that when you meet those people and talk to them and discuss whatever issue you're talking about, you will find that you have a lot more in common with them than the press and the politicians say you do. And you will agree with each other a lot more than the press and the media and the politicians say you do. So I am running to unite us. But perhaps more importantly, I want to promote happiness. The Declaration of Independence says that the purpose of government is to promote life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. Surprisingly, they did not mention maximizing GDP. To me, the most important of those three is happiness. Isn't it the primary goal we all have in life? We want to be happy. We want more money, we want other things, but the reason we want those things is we think they'll make us happier. So that's our primary goal in life, and that should be the primary goal of government too, happiness. So I want to measure that and track that and happiness and depression. And that's how I should be judged as governor. That's how we should judge Tim Walz as governor, the effect on happiness. So finally, let me conclude with a proposal for happiness. One way I propose to unite us and to promote happiness is to replace the mask mandate with a name tag mandate, like I am wearing here. I can't take credit for this idea. Kramer from Seinfeld, I think, originally did the idea. Now, don't worry, it won't really be mandatory. We're not going to actually kick people out of stores and churches because they're not wearing a name tag, which we did with masks. But I am serious about promoting it and maybe making it mandatory in name, though we won't actually be fining anybody or enforcing that. The mask mandate divided us and taught us to fear each other, blame each other for COVID, and was a constant reminder that we should all be depressed because of this supposed catastrophe of COVID that has befallen us. A name tag mandate with the words, I don't know if you can make this out, it says Minnesota Nice. Here. A name tag mandate with the words Minnesota Nice on the name tag in contrast will serve as a constant reminder of our common humanity and that Minnesota is a nice place and Minnesotans are nice people. It will say, my name is Hugh, and I aspire to be nice, and I would like to meet you. It will make us happier. Thank you for attending.
We'll open it for Q&A if you have any questions.
Way back here.
Sure.
So you need to amend the Constitution to do your jury democracy.
Yes, the ultimate goal would be to amend the Constitution, but I think I can do it from day one by calling juries together. I would ask the legislature to appropriate the money for the juries immediately. If they refuse to appropriate the money, then we can do it by nonprofit, keep costs down by inviting jurors to come without paying them or giving them any compensation. And I can use it to, as an advisory group, basically, informal advisory group, to decide whether I veto or sign every bill. But yes, the ultimate goal is to amend the Constitution. And I would amend it actually by not having three houses of the legislature, I would amend it by merging the Senate and the House. So all the senators and House members would keep their seats, be elected the same way they are now, but they would be merged together in one body. And then the jury would constitute effectively a second house of the legislature.
Those people would have to approve the constitutional amendment before it got to the ballot.
Yep.
Think they would do that?
Well, that's part of why I don't want to kick them out of their jobs. So I'm saying we keep the same number of senators and representatives we have now, but they're merged into one house.
Would it be the same 1,000 people every time, or would you?
No, it would be different people. I would strive. Let's see, we've got almost 4 million registered voters in Minnesota, a little over 3 million. So if you did 1,000, you could have 3,000 juries. Let's see, it would take 3,000 juries to get to everybody in the state basically who have served on a jury once. So you could, if we considered 3,000, I would strive to have people serve on a jury about once every 4 years to feel like they participate. So if we did 3,000 juries over the course of a 4-year period, to me that would be about right. But yes, it would be different people every time.
Has anyone done this before?
Nope, that's my idea.
You say you want to unite everyone. I can't think of a more divisive issue of the last 2-3 years, but COVID.
Yep.
And you certainly have opinions that aren't not necessarily uniting opinions on that. So how can you take the positions you have on COVID, called it, I think, a supposed catastrophe, and also say you're going to unite people at the end of this controversial and divisive period?
Well, I think people have been misled by the CDC and the media about this. They haven't been accurately informed that there's no question we have lost more time of life from the people, the excess deaths caused by the lockdowns, mostly suicides and drug overdose deaths, as well as murders from the increased crime rate, which I also think is 100% caused by the lockdown. There's no question that we've lost more time of life than we've saved and prevented COVID deaths. Really, I fail to see any evidence that it's prevented any COVID deaths at all, but even if a lockdown have saved 200,000 COVID deaths, the 40,000 people, 40,000 excess deaths, I'll back off from saying that we killed, excess deaths caused by the lockdowns. That's equivalent to 400,000 COVID deaths in time of life lost. So in 2020 alone, we already lost twice as much time of life from the deaths we caused as we possibly could have saved in preventing COVID deaths overall. We'll ultimately lose the equivalent of about 1 million. The time of life of excess deaths we caused will ultimately be equal to about 1 million COVID deaths. So in order to have an equal balance sheet, we would have had to save 1 million lives. So anyway, I think when people have fair information about that, you just kind of can't reach any other conclusion than that this was a mistake. And I think we've been divided. When people have stood up for the people we are harming, the business owners, the people thrown into depression, the people who are driving to suicide, the kids thrown out of school, when people have stood up for them, or when I and others have stood up for them over the past 3 years, we're shouted down. When those people themselves were actually harmed, they're shouted down. How dare you? How dare you stand up for your right to attend school when people are dying? That was divisive. That was very divisive. They've got every right to stand. Their lives count. They've got every right to stand up for their lives. So anyway, yeah. Not everybody's gonna like it. I'm not planning on getting 99% or 100% of the vote.
So you're governor, and there's another pandemic.
Yep.
You've got strong opinions
Yep.
on COVID and lockdowns.
Yep.
But you want this jury system.
Yep.
Jury decides we need a lockdown. You're gonna go along with the jury like you would on copper nickel mining?
Yes, yeah. Absolutely.
You said this is your first run for office. Have you ever done anything political, though? Worked for candidates, campaigns? Is this your first foray into politics?
Never been like a campaign manager, a really active volunteer, or so. Never been an aide for a congressperson or anything. So no, I guess it's my first foray. I've always been interested in politics. Yeah.
Kind of follow up on that, given the approach that you've taken to announce your campaign, you have an uphill battle to climb to get on ballot access. What are your thoughts on some of that?
Well, so yes, I'm actually a co-plaintiff on a lawsuit about the ballot access. The ballot access, we've got to get 2,000 signatures in a 2-week period in May. So it's kind of a tight deadline, and then the people also have to attest that they do not plan to vote in a party primary. So these are burdens that are not made on the major parties. So I think that's a mistake. I oppose